In today's video, we'll be taking a look at Darth Malgus for the Black Series 6-inch line. I would say this is a figure that people have been highly anticipating for many years now. It's definitely been a dream item for a lot of people. And honestly, I think most of us didn't think Hasbro would ever get around to making a Malgus, and if they did, they would really cheapen out on us. But they proved us wrong this time around, and I would argue this might be the best Black Series action figure that Hasbro's ever produced at all. The scale of it is incredible, and in some ways, even though it's probably true to scale to what Darth Malgus is, in some ways it's kind of disappointing for some of the other Black Series action figures, and I'll touch on why that is a little later. But it's fantastic. This might be the best Malgus action figure in general. There's the Sideshow one, which I don't have, but it does look pretty good. Maybe someday I'll track that down. And then we have the 3 3/4 inch Black Series figure and the Vintage Collection one, which they're nice figures as well, but I think this one's definitely going to blow both of those out of the park. What else is there to say about this? It's massive, that's for sure. This might be the biggest Black Series action figure that we've ever had made, which is good and bad in some ways, and that's kind of alluding to what I mentioned a minute ago. In fact, I'll just show you right now. So you have characters like General Grievous. Now we know Grievous is a pretty large character. He might even be, if he was true to scale, he might even be like 8 inches. But Malgus here is much bigger than Grievous is. So that's nice for Malgus, but it's kind of disappointing for characters like Grievous. And chances are we're never going to get an update of Grievous. And if we do, it's probably going to be mostly a retool. So in that aspect, it's kind of disappointing. But this video should be pretty much positive, because everything about this Malgus figure is pretty much perfect. The only thing I kind of wish he had with him was some lightning effects that you could put in his hand, because obviously this action figure and Malgus in general is most known for that initial trailer for the Old Republic game where they assault the Jedi Temple. And I think at one point there's an iconic scene that I've seen many frames of on the internet of Malgus shooting out Force Lightning on some Jedi, and I think that would have been a great accessory to include with this. Other than that, it's pretty much perfect as is. So we'll just dive straight in the package here. So this was at least here in the US, it was a $33.99 action figure, and I have to say, normally I stick my nose up at these insane deluxe prices or fake deluxe prices, that is. But I have to say, Darth Malgus here is one where I honestly did not mind paying almost $40 for this. Definitely not exactly deluxe material. I suppose what's deluxe about it is he can't really be reused for anything else, so that's why Hasbro made him a deluxe. I definitely wasted no time getting this. I'm still waiting on Malik and Bastila. I'll probably get those at some point. I've been kind of slow about it because I haven't wanted to spend $30 per action figure for it. Gaming Greats, Old Republic. The fact we got Old Republic action figures for the Black Series is incredible. So we have the bio here, Legendary Sith Lord, definitely. And then the scale size of Malgus there, 7 inches in length. So this is probably one of the last packages that we'll get without the window of any sorts. Too bad Malgus didn't have a window. I think this is one action figure where people would try to get one loose and then one carded. And I think people would definitely be willing to pay to have an extra Malgus on hand just to keep carded. I would even do that. So that's the package for Malgus. Let's go ahead and take a look at the action figure here. In fact, I could probably just have him stand in the place and you'll see everything there is to see. So that head sculpt is incredible. It kind of has that pasty white look to him where he's been corrupted by the dark side for so long, and it shows. And what's incredible about this as well, I will note this, I don't think I'm going to be taking the mask off for this video because it's very complicated, but I can try and get most of it out of the way as much as possible. But yes, you can take the mask off. From my understanding, you pop the head off, which for Black Series action figures, I've always had a really hard time trying to pop heads off. So perhaps in a short or something, I'll do a video for that after I finagle with it, but for the purposes of this video, I will not take the mask off. But obviously with the mask on, he has that very sinister look to him. But then if you move the mask out of the way, as you can kind of see there, he has a smirk to him and it completely changes his expression. To me, that's incredible that a mask here can kind of change the tone of what this action figure is. Here he's got a smirk, you know, he's looking kind of cocky, like he's getting a lot of pleasure out of killing Jedi, and then you put the mask on and then he's like, oh, you know. So I think that, to me, that's one of the most impressive things about this action figure is just the expression is just right where a mask can completely change the dimension of it. So then he has the rest of his armor. Not really a whole lot to say about his armor. Kind of similar to Vader's armor a little bit. It's mostly just blacks and grays. He does have the shoulder armor here, which I kind of have to work with mine a little bit because initially when I opened this action figure it was actually all the way back here towards the back of his arm, and I've had to work with it a little bit to bring it up front because it's not part of his shoulder in any way. It's just held into place by basically a slip, and it rotates around with the rest of his arms, but it gives him more flexibility, which is nice. Very large footprint as well. I've had no problems getting this guy to stand on his own. And he's a pretty heavy action figure. And back of his armor there. So he does have a cape here. For this one he just has the one cape, while the 3 3/4 inch action figure had 2 capes. And this looks really nice. Kind of reminds me at the beginning of that game trailer there where, you know, they're walking into the Jedi Temple. And he does have a hood, which does fit pretty good on his, he's got a little bit of a blue mark there. And that hood fits on him very nicely. I'm glad Hasbro went to all that trouble to kind of sculpt it around his head, and it looks accurate to what we saw in the game. Oftentimes Hasbro would just slap a hood together and then we get something like this, you know, where the hood's obviously way above his head. But they didn't do that with this, which is nice. And he looks really good with the hood. I would say more people recognize Malgus without a hood on. So in terms of articulation here, he does have a ball joint at the head. Pretty good range of motion in that. Hinged shoulders, hinged elbows, and then hinged wrists. This one goes in and out, and this one goes up and down. So opposites for the wrists. He does have a joint at, not so much the torso I would say, but more on the waist. Which is kind of interesting that he doesn't really have a torso joint. Not too many Black Series action figures have been doing that. He does have hinged hips. Now, something I've been noticing with a lot of the newer Black Series action figures, and I think Hasbro has addressed this going forward, is they're doing away with the swivel thigh. And instead they're doing better hip articulation to where you can pretty much get the same range of motion as if he did have a swivel thigh. So, nice innovation on Hasbro's part. I didn't think this action figure was going to have it. The first time I really noticed that and it really got addressed was with the Hera action figure from Ahsoka. But I didn't think Malgus was going to get that same treatment as well. So Malgus might be the, either him or Hera are technically probably the first ones to utilize this. And then of course he has hinged knees there, pull about 90 degrees, and then rocker ankles as well. And what's nice about the leg articulation here is it's not like the 3 3/4 inch action figure where it's really hard to get those to articulate in any way. And I unfortunately broke, I don't have it anymore, but on the Black Series one I couldn't get the knees to articulate at all, at least for one of the legs, so unfortunately that ended up breaking. But that doesn't seem to be the case for this action figure. So for weapons and accessories, I suppose you could count his mask there as a accessory. Now I do know on the Malik one, you don't have to take the head off at all. It's just peg. There's like a peg right here, and then you could just take the mask off. Unfortunately for Malgus, they did not do that, so you have to pop the head off and take the mask off that way. Like I said, I can kind of show you about the best I can do. Gets the point across. Might be a situation where I have to boil it as well in order to get the head off. I've tried. There's the Black Series Padme that I have from Attack of the Clones. So I have a custom cape for her, and I've never been able to pop her head off, and I haven't really wanted to go further with it because it's the only Black Series Padme that's out there and that I have, and I didn't want to risk breaking anything just to put a custom cape on her that's soft goods instead of the plastic one she has. And definitely for Malgus, I don't want to risk the same thing. But that's okay. Besides that, I suppose the cape here you might be able to take off if you finagle it with enough. And of course we have his lightsaber here. And this thing's pretty big, I would say. Definitely a much bigger lightsaber compared to what we normally get for most characters. In fact, I have Nihilus's right here, and yeah, that's a huge difference between the two. And this is really nice. To me, though, it's just so massive where you think it's like a club or something like that. But he doesn't seem to have a peg of any sorts to where you can attach it to a belt, unfortunately. But what you can do is take the blade out, and you have his lightsaber here. And Malgus definitely has one of the most unique lightsaber hilts out there. It's really nice. So you could just have him hold an unignited lightsaber hilt in his hand, if you so choose. Let's see here. Well, as you can see, Malgus definitely takes up a lot of surface area. Oh, what else can I tell? I suppose I'll bring out the 3 3/4 inch action figures right now. Do a comparison of the two. We'll do a head sculpt comparison real quick. So here he is with the TBC action figure. As you can see, the 3 3/4 inch one, he's much more gray. In fact, he's kind of looks like he's really corrupted by the dark side on this one. The armor's a lot more different. I think the colors are more vibrant on the TBC figure. And we have the Black Series one here. Just pretty much the same thing. But yeah, I think that's pretty much all I could tell you about Malgus here. Would I recommend him for your collection? I don't even think I really need to tell you that. Like I said, I think he's the best Black Series action figure that Hasbro's ever made. I'm really impressed by it. I think they exceeded everybody's expectations a lot. Of course, expectations these days have kind of been set low in a lot of areas between prices and quality control. But this is truly a great action figure, and I think this is going to go down as one of the best of 2023. This year, I plan on doing, I might do top 10 videos for TVC, Black Series, and maybe even Hot Toys in some ways up to this point. But very nice action figure, well worth the price, even though it's minimum of $35 depending where you live. If you're in Europe or Australia or Canada, I know it's up there in the 50s even, which is ridiculous, but still, I think even $50 for this, it is definitely a $50 action figure. Hasbro knocked this out of the park. No need to revisit it. Really no complaints about it. Just wish he had a couple extra accessories about him, and maybe you could clip his lightsaber hilt on his belt. Similar to the 3 3/4 inch action figures here. Other than that, it's a perfect action figure. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed this review. Stay tuned for plenty more reviews in the future. There will be lots more to come. If you haven't already, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Greatly appreciate your support. And check out the links in the description as well. Thanks for watching.